Pro-Vegetarianism by Garrett. What is a vegetarian? A vegetarian is someone that does not eat meat, poultry, fish, lard, gelatin, beef stock, or chicken stock, and lives on a plant-based diet consuming animal byproducts like dairy and eggs. Most meat consumers argue 2 points on the topic of meat consumption. They argue that meat provides many nutrients in just one serving that would require many servings of plants. They also argue that, though processed meat has been reported to cause cancer, there is no evidence of this. On point 1, that meat provides many nutrients in just one serving that would require many servings of plants, it is true that meat is the most accessible and easy source of protein. It has all essential amino acids that we need. It also includes iron, zinc, and B vitamins, which are very good for the human body. Though this is the easiest form of protein and is the easiest found and consumed, there are other ways to receive protein, such as beans. Beans provide a plentiful amount of protein to many vegetarians that do not eat meat. They also can receive other nutrients that they need and amino acids through vitamins. Myself as a vegetarian, I take B vitamins to get the necessary amount of vitamin B in my body. Point 2, that processed meat has been reported to cause cancer, but there's no evidence. There is no evidence of moderate unprocessed lean red meat consumption causing cancer. And in moderation, processed meat is nothing to be concerned about, since lean meat is still part of a heart-healthy diet. Bacon, sausage, and salami, and other meats with preservatives, on the other hand, should be avoided due to risk of bowel cancer. The preservatives in these meats cause bowel cancer and other illnesses. All meat may not be proven to cause cancer, but the domestication and consumption of this meat comes loaded with other health concerns that I'll speak on later. My first topic is the inhumane treatment and abuse of farm animals. On average, every year, 115 million pigs, 9 billion birds, and 35 million cows are killed for meat consumption. 50% of the meat in the U.S. comes from CAFOs, or factory farms. These factory farms are dirty, overpopulated, and all animals are subjected to abuse on these factory farms. Animals stand and live in cramped lots, usually ankle deep in waste. Some pigs live in lots so small they face the same direction their whole life because their pens are not big enough to turn around. Other animals are packed into tiny cages like chickens. The animals are mutilated to prevent fighting. The tails are chopped off, horns are removed, and beaks are cut, with no anesthesia or pain relief to subside the pain. Chickens live in cages so cramped they often live their whole life bruised and unable to fly due to the lack of living space. Animals are also engineered with hormones and fed corn-based diets, causing metabolic disorders in order to raise efficiency and cut costs. Most chickens find standing and walking almost impossible because their small skeletons cannot support their rapidly growing bodies. Most chickens don't lay eggs, and therefore are considered useless and quit at birth. They are tossed into a meat grinder alive or tossed onto an electric plate and electrified. Piglets are taken from their mothers at only 17 to 20 days after birth and are castrated and have their tails cut off with no pain relief. They will spend the next 6 months getting to market weight, where they will then be slaughtered. To produce milk, cows live on a cycle of impregnation, birth, and milking, with only a few short months between pregnancies. Cows are taken from their mothers only an hour after birth. Male calves are castrated because it is believed to improve the quality of meat. The spermatic cords are crushed with a clamp, constricting blood flow to the scrotum until the testicles die and fall off. Cows can usually live up to 20 years, but on factory farms, they are killed at only 5. The Humane Methods of Slaughter Act says livestock must be unconscious to be slaughtered, but the HMSA is often ignored by factory farms. There are only 2 laws dealing with animal rights on factory farms. They are weak and ineffective. They deal with the slaughter and transport of animals. The laws do not apply to poultry, and 95% of the animals killed for meat consumption, though. My next topic is the human health toll. As factory farm production rises, the risk of new diseases increase. Antibiotics are injected into animals and then and when the meat is consumed, create antibiotic-resistant microbes. 1,400 known human pathogens are thought to have originated in animals. Tuberculosis is thought to come from tuberculosis and the common cold is thought to come from cows, pertussis from pigs or sheep, leprosy from water buffalo, and influenza from ducks. Ailments began to appear early in animal domestication, nearly 10,000 years ago. There have been 30 new pathogens in 30 years found coming from animals. These pathogens are zootonic, meaning they come from animals and given to humans. The H1N1 or swine flu pandemic originated from overcrowding pigs and their waste. Commercial livestock produce 3 times the waste of humans, but the waste is not treated as that of human waste and is not disposed of properly. Animal products contain saturated fat, which lead to obesity and heart disease, which are very dangerous to the human health. There are many other advantages of a vegetarian society. Factory farms are resource heavy. The land cleared for factory farms could be more efficiently used for plants and for large plant-based farms. 1 pound of beef protein requires 10 pounds of plant protein fed to the animal. In North America and Europe alone, 1 kilogram of protein produced requires 75 to 300 kilograms of grass or grain. In Sub-Saharan Africa, to produce 1 kilogram of protein, it requires 500 to 2,000 kilograms of grass or grain. The grain used to feed U.S. livestock alone could feed 800 million of 925 million people suffering from world hunger. Conserving water is another huge advantage of a vegetarian society. To raise 1 pound of chicken, you need 660 gallons of water. 1 pound of beef requires 2,500 gallons of water. In comparison, it only takes 200 gallons to make 1 pound of tofu and only 180 gallons for 1 pound of wheat flour. A vegetarian society would also prevent greenhouse gases. Deforestation, manure decomposition, and bioenteric fermentation all cause greenhouse gases. 1 pound of pork, producing 1 pound of pork is about like driving 5 small cars. To produce 1 pound of beef, it's about like driving 20 miles. In comparison, 1 pound of potatoes is the equivalent of driving 0.34 hundredths of a mile. Raising animals for food causes 18% of the global greenhouse gases. Livestock creates 500 million tons as waste every year. Toxins and waste create dead zones, such as the 7,770 square mile dead zone along the Gulf of Mexico. One dairy farm researched of 10,000 milk cows gave off 3,575 pounds of ammonia, 33,992 pounds of methane, and 409 pounds of nitrous oxide in just one day. So in conclusion, there are so many more positives than there are negatives to becoming a vegetarian society. That's why pro-vegetarianism is so important, and it is so important to inform everyone of what goes on in these factory farms and how animals are treated. Meat is not the only way to live, and people can live long, healthy lives without consuming meat.